Hi, I'm Dave Palmer. Welcome to this video as we talk about Roe v. Wade and the natural law. Now, of course, at the time that I'm doing this video, Roe v. Wade has been overturned. It was June 24th of 2022. I'm not sure when you're watching this, but it caused a big uproar, and seems like about half of the country is ecstatic, like me, and half the country is really, really upset and threatening violence. And it really is hard to believe that on something so fundamental as life in the womb, there could be that much of a difference of opinion, so much so that people are so locked in to both sides. And so I wanted to talk about the natural law and how that applies to the whole issue of abortion and Roe v. Wade, and of course the overturning of it, and what may be coming from our country and our world as people continue to grapple with this issue, which I think should be pretty clear cut, but apparently it's not as easy and cut and dry as we would like it to be, from a pro-life standpoint. All right, so the protests have begun as of the time that I'm doing this video, and who knows what the fallout is going to be from the Supreme Court in the decision on the 24th of June coming down and saying Roe v. Wade is overturned. 49 years of constitutional right to abortion has been overturned. Now it goes back to the states. And really, when it all comes down, I mean, we could talk about, my body, my choice, and women's rights, and this kind of thing, but the crux of abortion is that a living human being is killed or terminated in this procedure. I mean, nobody could deny that, right? That's the basic of what an abortion is. Now, of course, there are some things that apply to it accidentally, or that go along with it, and we don't want to discount that, because there are certainly some other things to be taken into consideration. But when you really boil it down to what is abortion, what are we talking about? It's this child in the womb and the right to terminate its life, to the right to kill it, right? So let's see what natural law has to do with that, and how Thomas, of course, 750 years ago, was writing about not necessarily abortion. In fact, I did a video about abortion and St. Thomas Aquinas, and he did not mention abortion specifically in all the 5 volumes of the Summa Theologica. He never mentioned it, for reasons that I explained in that other video. All right, so I did a video one time on the 4 kinds of law. It just happens to be the most popular video that I've ever done. It's got, tens of, I don't know how many thousands of views now, but for some reason it really resonated with people. Okay, I just discussed the 4 kinds of law, and people seem to like it. So just real quick, the 4 kinds of law, according to St. Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle. Of course, Aristotle talked about law, but some of these had to do more specifically with God. Eternal law is basically anything that's true. Okay, anything, gravity, or 2 plus 2 is 4, anything that's true in the divine mind is going to be part of the eternal law. Natural law is what we'll be discussing in this video. Divine law has to do with things that surpass human reason. Okay, things like the existence of heaven and hell, and transubstantiation, the bodily resurrection, the Assumption of Mary. These are things that we're taught through authority that we can't really prove or disprove, because they surpass our regular knowledge. Human law is just the application of the other laws, like Roe v. Wade, like the Dobbs versus Jackson case. That's human law. All right, speed limits, that's human law. It's the application of the natural law. All right, so we ask, or Thomas asks in the Summa, whether there is in us a natural law. Okay, it's a very interesting question. Do we have a natural law imprinted in us? And I think it's the question that everybody should be asking when we talk about the legality of abortion, which we already said is the killing of a child inside the womb, right? So Thomas says, it is evident that all things partake somewhat of the eternal law. Now remember, the eternal law is just all things that are true. Okay, anything that is in the divine reason, anything that's true, everything participates in that. The grasshopper, the angel, the aardvark, the tree, participate in the divine law in some way or another, right? Namely, from its being implanted on them, they derive their respective inclinations to their proper acts and ends. Okay, so the divine law basically dictates all the processes of nature and the way the world operates. Now, among all others, the rational creature, okay, that's you and me, okay, and basically you and I. The angels are intelligent creatures. We're rational and intelligent, right? The rational creature is subject to divine providence in the most excellent way, insofar as it partakes of a share of providence by being provident both for itself and for others. So our natural law has to do not only with ourselves, but the impact that we have on other people, other creatures as well. Okay, wherefore it has a share of the eternal reason, whereby it has a natural inclination to its proper act and end. And this participation of the eternal law in the rational creature is called the natural law. Okay, so you've got like a big Venn diagram, and a big circle is the eternal law, everything inside divine reason. Okay, the portion of it that is implanted in us, that we just know naturally, that God gave us the right and the wrong, the conscience to know right from wrong, that is natural law. And so we have to ask ourselves, is protecting a human being inside its mother's womb, the womb is designed to protect a child, right? The sexual act is designed to create a child, right? That's really the whole purpose of it, right? The body protects. It's very. It's a process of nature that is undeniable. That the default is protection, right? So let's move on. He says, hence the psalmist, after saying, offer up the sacrifice of justice, as though someone asked what the works of justice are, adds, many say, who show us good things? In answer to which the question he says, the light of thy countenance, O Lord, is shined upon us, thus implying that the light of natural reason, whereby we discern what is good and what is evil, which is the function of the natural law, is nothing else than an imprint on us of the divine light. It is therefore evident that the natural law is nothing else than the rational creature's participation of the eternal law. Now, this is where, in a debate in society, we have to say, what is imprinted in us? Is it imprinted in us that we should seek convenience, or we don't want to give up that movie that we're auditioning for because we got pregnant, and that this baby is an inconvenience to us, or can't afford a baby, or the baby has a defect and therefore doesn't deserve to live? Can we really say that that's imprinted in us, that's natural law, that this is the countenance of the Lord signed upon us, is convenience, is monetary gain, is I got to finish high school and I can't really carry a baby to term? Is that what's imprinted on us, or is it imprinted in us by very nature that child should be protected? Okay, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm not quite sure why this continues to be such a big debate in our culture. One other article we'll go over, whether the natural law can be changed. Okay, so you might say, yeah, back in the medieval age, when Thomas Aquinas lived, abortion was wrong, or maybe it was wrong 30 years ago, but it isn't wrong now, or these things can change, it's all relative, right? Thomas says a change in the natural law may be understood in two ways. First, by way of addition. In this sense, nothing hinders the natural law from being changed, since many things for the benefit of human life have been added over and above the natural law, both by the divine law and by human laws. Trying to think of an example of this, and I think like cloning, okay, or maybe embryonic stem cell research, which at the time of Aquinas, nobody even heard of, right? Nobody knew what cloning was. And so now we have to apply the natural law to something that is a relatively new invention and say, well, the natural law would be opposed to that, right? So there is an addition to the natural law. Secondly, a change in the natural law may be understood by way of subtraction, so that what previously was according to the natural law ceases to be so. In this sense, the natural law is altogether unchangeable in its first principles, but in its secondary principles, which are certain detailed proximate conclusions drawn from the first principles, the natural law is not changed, so that what it prescribes be not right in most cases, but it may be changed in some particular case of rare occurrence through some special causes hindering the observance of such precepts. Now, that last line could probably ignite a big debate in this issue. Is there ever a circumstance that the Catholic Church has steadfastly said no? There's really no circumstance by which an innocent life can be taken, for any reason, right? And so, I think what we're got to conclude is that if we really just kind of boil this down to what is the issue at hand, it's the death of an innocent child. And is it natural law? Is it part of eternal law that you don't kill innocent life? I think it is. Okay, is that imprinted in us? Do we naturally know that we shouldn't do that? I would argue yes. Okay, this is probably a topic that we should be debating. I wish natural law, it's come up in Supreme Court hearings, like with Justice Clarence Thomas. Natural law came up. Interestingly, by then Senator Joe Biden was talking about natural law, but I think it's something that needs to be reintroduced into the conversation. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless you.